It's Grady and Big Joe on FM 107.5 and 1070 The Fan.
I gotta retweet this now. Somebody's got to share this with Mike Wells. Somebody put Boys to Men's End of the Road over the Avengers Endgame trailer.
Oh, no.
That's got to be shared with Wells. Got to be shared with Wells. Let's go to the Payless Liquors hotline. Our main man, the coach, Rick Venturi. Coach, how you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good. Joe and Michael, it's great to hear from you. Michael, Nets must have a day off today. I've been missing you a lot lately here, so it's great to have you on here. Beautiful day overlooking the 13th hole of Harbor Trees Golf Course. Matter of fact, so man. Beautiful, I want to get on a plane and get down to Florida.
I hear you. Coach Rick Venturi, kind enough to join us. Before we look ahead to this Texans game, I know you've talked about it this week, but just want to get your reaction because so many people feel like it's unbelievable to get shut out. This Colts offense doing, as prolific as they have been this season, but certainly the streak they had leading into the Jacksonville game just was kind of unfathomable that they would be shut out. What was your reaction to what led to them being scoreless?
Well, there's no question about it. I didn't see that coming. Now, I've been in this business long enough to know, 27 years of Sundays that, there is no team that can't rise up and beat you. And you never take a game for granted, even though you should win it. I mean, I'm not naive that way. But I never saw a shutout coming. I never thought that they could do that to us. But, we complied. I mean, basically we had 5 issues in the first half, 5 just bad plays, some decision making, some physical plays, just 5 different issues, which I can go through real quick. And they not only, in my opinion, cost us the game, but they became emotional multipliers. Every single one that kept happening gave Jacksonville more life, and the team that was emotionally bankrupt and offensively bankrupt by the second half were world beaters. And you saw what they really were last night. I mean, they got beat about 100-3. So, basically, we start the game perfectly. Autry, who played his tail off and does play his tail off when he's healthy, knocks a big turnover, and then we turn around. Nelson gets beat. He gets beat bad by Campbell. Andrew starts running, which is the beginning of it, but the bad part of it is he makes probably his worst decision of the year. I mean, you can make bad decisions, but after a sudden change to throw it right back to him and really with no chance of hitting it. So, they get an emotional lift there. Number one, you got a sudden change. So you're telling your defense, all right, we got to hold them to 3 here. They got good field position. But instead, you get a turnover. It's like, wow, that's good. Then a couple series later, we go 3rd and 2. Instead of lining up, steady, running the play, we got to try to go up there and go quick on them, which most of the time that screws your own offense because they don't get set. We run a toss sweep. Campbell strips 2 guys. The linebackers slash it. We punt. Okay, hey, another good stop. Then the 4th and 1, which I don't agree with. I'm totally different. I think sometimes it takes a lot more courage to play by the book. I take the 3 down there on the 4th and 1. We don't take it. So now we're going to gamble. We're going to run it, and then we run that shovel. I don't like the call because the shovel is a play that takes finesse. Everything has to go right. You're not blocking everybody. You're not putting a hat on everybody. And obviously Ngakoue made a really good play. So, there's nothing, and Joe can tell you this, but I can tell you as a defensive coordinator, when you stop somebody inside the 5 like that, essentially what is a goal line stand, there is nothing more lifting than that. Those guys come off and they think they just won the Super Bowl. And then number 4, we got the 4th and 1 again because we get the ball back. And now I'm totally with Frank on going for it here. Whenever you're on the fringe of the field goal range, I would rather go for it there early because it's a long field goal, even though we got a great field goal kicker, and it's senseless to punt. But then we run a wagon train sweep to Ebron. Their linebackers beat him in the backfield, hit him 5 yards deep. The ball's flying all over. Jacksonville comes off, like they won 2 Super Bowls. And then the 5th play, and a defensive play, even though the defense played very well. But in essence, there's 2 minutes to go in the first half, 0-0. It's 3rd and 13, and we line up in a prevent versus Cody Kessler. They hit Moncrief coming across because everybody's 100 yards back. He runs it down, makes a first down. They run an 8-yard gain and kick a field goal. So they leave the game at the half as if they just won it all with more confidence, as I said, with emotional elevators. And now they go in and they tell Cody Kessler, you hand the ball off or check it down. Do not even attempt to throw the ball downfield. If it's third down, run it. And basically, now they said, because we're going to shut these guys down, we know we can shut this team out. And, so what happened, and they ended up being a good matchup, Michael, because they can do what probably no one else in the league can do, is they can shut you down, with Jalen Ramsey. They can shut, Hilton down one-on-one. And when you can do that, then the rest of their players are better than our players. So basically, once you've taken our leading lady away with one guy, now you can play straight. You can play the 8th man in the box. You've got linebackers that can run with Ebron. So, but I don't, like I said, I'm not bummed out about that because I don't think Houston, Dallas, or any of these people can actually do that.
I want to get to this game plan this week because I sat and watched this morning your game plan against Houston, and part of your game plan has you did a good job of pointing out how well a guy like T.Y. Hilton plays in Houston. The problem is T.Y. is still on the injury list. You don't have Doyle the rest of the year, and you've got 3 tight ends that are on the injured list. How in the world are you going to approach this game if all these guys don't play?
Well, I think, Joe, you're going to have to go back to, kind of what Frank did to keep us. And Frank kept us above water even though we weren't winning. We were still getting 25 points a game, even when we weren't good. And what you're going to have to do here, you're going to have to take advantage of everything tactically you can. Again, I said the first thing you got to do is you got to be able to run the edge on these guys because as good as they're, Clowney and as good as basically Watt are, they really do more damage inside than on the edge, and they love to swim. You've seen them; they swim inside. Heck, they bring Clowney inside most of the time.
Right.
So I think you can get to the edge on the open side to Clowney with crackbacks, and then I think you can power at Watt's side and bounce to the edge. So I think you got to be able to run the edge. You got to mix a little bit of run to keep them honest inside. You want to be able to move that a little bit that way. And then I think what's really important now, if you're a little bit personnel down, like we very well could be, like we were early in the season, we had no Doyle, we had no Hilton for a while. You've got to go back, Joe, to the quick rhythm stuff on first down. You got to get, because the one thing that they do, and I don't think, teams tend to play you as they play you. I would look at the Jacksonville game and say, okay, how can we play this like Jacksonville? But unless you're going to get up there and press on first down, which they don't normally do, they play a lot of soft quarters and cover 3 off on first down. So when you're playing that kind of defense that's a little bit softer in the coverage, then you can throw the ball quick. You can release it quick. And quick is good here anyway, because if you're going to hold the ball at all, you've got to double Clowney and J.J. Watt. You're kidding yourself if you're not. So quick rhythm would have been there even if Hilton was there. But you want to throw underneath these guys. You want to work it out. Obviously, whether it's Grant and Rodgers, who actually were the starters early, you got to get into that situation, into that rhythm. Now, if they start playing more man coverage and trying to press you, you got to immediately have your stacks and bunches and your rub stuff ready. The other place you want to work is McKinney is a really good run linebacker, but he really struggles on the option routes inside. You want to kind of get your formations where Ebron can isolate him, or whoever that is can isolate him and run some one-on-one in those situations there. I think you can play past him, same thing for some chunks over the top on first down. But when you do that, when you go play action, it's got to be hard and heavy, and you've got to make sure that Watt is doubled and Clowney is blocked. And as you probably chuckled, if it were possible, you know how we make that noise on third down. Whenever Jadeveon walks back in the box or lines up on the guard, I would have sirens going off, okay? I would have sirens that you do not let him beat you in that A-gap or beat those guards, because that's where he's devastating. So I think it goes back, Joe, to a good mix, smart mix of the run, quick rhythm, plus screen the ball out to your backs. You know, get it out to Mack, get it out to Hines. I think we gotta do things quickly. I think we have to command first down, even if we're thinking just 4 to 5 yard gains, and just keep it moving that way. Where we don't want to be, as you know, we don't want to be in those third and long situations with that. You know, when they start walking everybody around, moving that delta, moving Watt, moving Clowney, getting Merciless going. We don't want to be in those situations. As a matter of fact, if we are, I'd be screening and drawing and going to the next day.
Yeah, because that's the thing. You mentioned getting the ball off quickly and quick rhythm and everything. It didn't look like we did that against Jacksonville that much. It also didn't look like it looked like a lot of max protection, but not getting the receivers, off the defensive backs like we did. So we almost exclusively, it seemed like, went to Hines, Ebron, and Hilton in that ball game last week. And that is absolutely contrary to everything that Andrew had done up to that point. If these guys can't play, it's going to open up the entire field, right? To find Inman and to find Grant, to find whoever you got out there playing.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and why it's so important to I think to two things, and I say it every week, but this week is so important because Houston is 9-3, but Houston is flawed. Okay, they as good as their defense is, third in the league in points given up, 5 on the rush. But they're 18th versus the pass. I mean, they have problems with the passing game, particularly on first down. And so, getting the lead where, you basically have the hammer, they can't rush you all day. And the other thing about getting the lead, their offensive line is ridiculously bad. Even for a 9-3 team, it's ridiculously bad in terms of getting after them if you get them in passing downs. But going back to what you say, if I can command first down, even if it's a 4-yard stick route, a 5-yard hitch, then second down becomes first down. And they continue to play it that way, and they don't aggressively come and get you until you get in second and long, third and long. And so, if we're going to be successful without chunk plays, it'll be hard to get chunk plays without Hilton. There's no question about it. So, it's going to be, this is one you have to win, with 1,000 paper cuts.
On the defensive side of the ball, Coach Rick Venturi joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline here on 107.5 and 1070 The Fan. On defense, Coach, the Colts, they haven't been tested by a really stellar offense in a while. What type of challenge are they facing with Deshaun Watson and company, and what do they need to do to be successful?
Yeah, that's a good point. In the 6 weeks, I think our defense has played well. There isn't any question about it. Particularly when Autry, Hunt, and Sheard, those 3 veteran free agents are in there, we do a really good job of penetrating that line of scrimmage, and that could be so critical. I hope Hunt's ready because although Woods will do a good job, I mean, this is really important because, but at the same time, the realistic part of it is the 6 weeks that we've played in, there's not a team in the 6 that is above the bottom 27%. So that is what it is. We'll know more about ourselves in the next 2 weeks in the Texas State Championship here. But, I think when you look at their offense, it's a three-headed sword, usually double sword, 3-headed sword. But I don't fear it as much, believe it or not. They have 1,695 yards rushing, 875 or something like that is Miller, and then you got 3-something from Blue, and then you got the 300 added to it with the quarterback, who is a magnificent athlete. But see, they're a zone run team, and as long as we have that front, if you look at us, I said that last week. I wasn't worried about it, whether Fournette or Hyde or any of those guys. I said last week, we will stop the run, and I feel like we'll do it too. I feel like we'll do it. Now, you got to hold the edges because Miller is a terrific back. He's an elite back. He's a guy that, can find 7 gaps. He can take an inside zone right, bust it left. You'll see that this afternoon on my videos. I mean, there's no question he's really good, but I just think that's our strength up front. Now, the second thing is, I think doing that, I think we can do that with our normal stuff, particularly our cover threes where we're close to the box. But the second biggest thing, or 1A, I don't think it's one or the other, is we have to have a plan for Hopkins. We did a lousy job of that in the first game. Mm-hmm. Hopkins is premier. He's Joe's buddy, but who is easy to like. But Chris Carter, he is Chris Carter again. I mean, he's got tremendous hands. He's a premier. He's either 1, 2, 3, whatever you want in the league. Guy's got 7,000 yards, 80 catches this year. Best body control and hands and sideline ability of anybody in the league. And, I just think that you can't just say, I'm going to line and play him straight up. I mean, we gave that play away in the overtime. Actually, we gave up 2 away, and the one in the overtime just killed us because we just tried to play defense and didn't play a special coverage. So I think you really need to have a game plan, and you don't have to do it every single down, but when it's critical, when you're around that red zone and that fourth quarter, you've got to have a method of stopping him. And then, the third thing, and these all things have to be done simultaneously, which I believe they can be, is you need a real smart rush plan, aggressive but smart against Watson. Because as good as they are rushing, but that's distorted to some degree because of the quarterback, as good as that stat is, this is a team that's 22nd in passing and 29th in sacks. That's why when I talked about the lead earlier, you want these guys behind the chains. You want these guys in a have-to-throw situation. So where the game isn't Miller anymore, the game is now Davenport on the one side and 75 Rankin on the other side. That's who you want to have in their hands, plus the blitz game. Now, when you play this kid, when you rush him, you have to be a balance. Don't sit there, but it has to be balanced all the time. You can't void lanes or give up edges on this guy. And when you blitz, which I think blitzing is good against them, they don't pick up blitzes. They're terrible on the edge. Make sure the blitz is balanced and always hold the edge. This kid is a tremendous young kid, not necessarily the best passer yet in the league. I mean, he's 16th in QBR, but he's dangerous. He's a smart kid. He's charismatic. My dad used to call, guys that had that escapability. They're like eels. You go to get them and you can't get them. You can't touch them. You can't. All of a sudden they're just out of there. And the thing that I like about him is that he has what Russell Wilson. He probably doesn't have Russell's gun, but he has what Russell has. Is when they get out of trouble, they stay poised and they look downfield. So one, we don't want to let them get out of trouble. We don't want to void an edge or go three to one side and one to the other side on a pass rush and let him run, because he can do it. But then the other thing you have to do, if he does get out, is your secondary and linebackers have to sometimes transition, because we play so much zone. You end up having to take your zone and turn it into man downfield in what we call plaster. Once he's running around in there, he's not looking to go helter-skelter and just run. This kid is looking to burn you. So when he gets out, you got to do a great job in that back end of locating and plastering people so that, he doesn't extend and make big plays, because that's where the danger zone is.
Coach, before we wrap up, just a couple minutes here, how do you keep, for a team that started slow, got hot, and then was shut out on Sunday, how do you keep, from a mentality standpoint, this team from having an identity issue? If the going gets tough against the Texans, how do you keep them from going, oh, we're more like the team that started, as opposed to, hey, wait a minute, we can get out of this situation. We're the team that was on the winning streak.
Well, I think Frank does a really good job in staying within, the segments. He's staying within the weak capsule. And, and I think you emphasize, and I think they understand this, that, you may, just because you went and had a stinker in Jacksonville, that doesn't mean anything towards the next week. I mean, December intensity now is for all the marbles, and we all got to think of ourselves as equal. You definitely, and Joe can tell you this, you live in 1 week capsules in this league. And basically, it's 16 rounds and it's 16 different rounds. So now, to me, you look at Houston and you say maybe maybe they're 9-3, but really our offense may match up better against their defense, assuming that we quick rhythm or we double those two rush guys, because then we can handle them. But you can't go in there and, tell yourself that, oh, no, we can handle these guys one-on-one all day, because that's crazy. But, again, just to answer your question, it goes back to that, life cycle of a fruit fly. I mean, this fruit fly lives for 24 hours and then he dies, and that's how it is in the NFL. You live 24 hours, you die, you wake up the next morning, and you're right back on to the next one. And, the whole league. And listen, at the end of this Sunday, we beat Houston. We were 4 yards away from beating Houston, and we were depleted the last time. Okay? Baltimore goes to Kansas City. All of a sudden they go from 7-5. They're 7. I mean, we could be knotted up again in a week. And at the end of the month, anything can happen. As Johnny Madden used to say, there's 4 levels of intensity: preseason, regular season, December, and playoffs. So we're in December. We're in decision time right now. And, it's basically win or go home. And I love it that way.
Perfect setup to whet everybody's appetite for what should be a fun game, where we hopefully see some touchdowns on Sunday from the Colts. Coach Rick Venturi, thanks so much. Our conversation always brought to you by District Tap, 60 beers on tap, and damn good food. Coach, thanks so much.
Oh, thank you, Michael. And Joe, we'll talk again on Sunday.
Sounds good. Hey, Coach, I'm going to lunch at the District Tap here in a little bit.
Greatest place in the world. I'm
best sandwich.
To take Miss Sherry down there here one of these days if I can get her. Stop her from her Christmas decorations. This woman is going to have us in some Christmas magazine.
What's the best sandwich? What should I get?
Oh my God, I don't know. Nobody has to tell you what to get. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
All right, I'll have to try 3 or 4 beers too.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.
Appreciate it from Coach Rick Venturi, the coach level, and the pop quiz. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.